Moving on. Our main story tonight concerns homelessness.
An illegal homeless encampment that's set up next door.
Homelessness and mental illness.
Homeless? Homeless guy had to be.
Homelessness.
The United States is the world's largest economy, with a gross domestic product, or GDP, worth $23.32 trillion. It leads the nations in wealth and resources. Yet still, despite being home to some of the biggest, most famous cities and the most well-known billionaires, more than 500,000 people still live on the streets.
Property prices are moving further and further out of reach for the people who live there.
If you're a nurse or a school teacher here, or even some lawyers and doctors and stuff, that housing is very expensive, and in some professions, completely unaffordable.
In September of 2020, the average home in metropolitan Vancouver would already have cost you over $1 million Canadian dollars, around $850,000 US dollars. But in the 12 months after that, that price went up by 130,000 Canadian dollars. That's a 13% rise in 1 year.
Many cities across the world and the United States are affected by this homelessness epidemic, and one of these cities is San Diego in sunny California. With rising prices of daily essentials like gas, food, and water, and price gouging of rent, it's hard to ignore the causes of these problems.
I would say, though, the biggest thing that we do is just connect people to one another and to God, and to help people find that they're not alone, because the whole system is so full of despair and isolation that having a place here where they can come and just not be alone, be greeted with love and a smile and care and dignity, I think is probably more important than any of the physical things that we do. But we do a lot of stuff.
Appearance. It's all about so they can take a picture of a street that's cleaned up and say, look, we're doing something about this issue, when really they're just pushing people around. I mean, we know people that come in here that attend our church that talk about having to go through 4 or 5 sweeps a week, where they're basically have all their belongings taken, thrown away, and they're told, just go over here. They don't provide them a viable alternative. They don't say, okay, this is a safe place where you can go. They just tell them to leave there. And so they have to go somewhere else, and then again, they're facing having their stuff thrown away. And so, no, I think it's messed up, and I think that it's really about appearance. It's about the city trying to look good and appeal to constituents and to voters and the people giving them money so that they can keep getting money. Whereas they're not actually addressing people's needs. They're not helping the people, and yeah, they're really quite oppressive.
That's the $64 million question. What came first?
Yeah.
The addiction or the homelessness? Yeah. Because when you're faced with that kind of despair, if you're not strong enough, you will succumb to we can call it darker forces, but it's just you'll succumb to what's the easiest to do, right? Like water finding its level. That it's just easier to check out, with drugs and alcohol than it is to, try to, live in the moment of like, man, this really sucks. Like, even people today, when we were serving them coffee, they were saying it might rain this week. And we'll call it, we got to make distinctions. So like normal people will say, oh, it might rain this weekend. We might not be able to have the picnic. And they're saying it might rain this weekend. All of my stuff is going to get wet. Like normal people don't worry that their bed is going to be wet or their television or, you know what I mean? The lazy boys are going to be soaking wet, but they do. So that's how the distinction between, what they think about and what we'll call normal people think about. But an interesting thing that happens, like with this, I was thinking about this with the sweeps. A lot of people that have their stuff thrown away, they leave their stuff there, like in a tent, and then go do something. Like they'll have a doctor's appointment or whatever, or they're going to cop dope, whatever it is. But they feel safe enough to leave their stuff there. And my point with that is like buildings, cul-de-sacs, they will never create community, ever. Like you can build 50, 60 houses at one, but it will never be a community until people move in. And it's the same thing, like they create a community, whether we like it or not. I mean, that's just what happens.
Demonstrators here in Berlin have had enough. Some of their demands include a nationwide rent freeze and the construction of new social and affordable housing.
I think it's important that people can afford to live in Berlin and that people aren't pushed out.
You don't know who your landlord is anymore. It's always some company or another abroad.
The cost of living is going up, but not our wages.
Berlin's local government attempted last year to freeze rents for 5 years with its Mietendeckel or rent cap. Germany's constitutional court ruled in April, however, that it violated the constitution, saying that rent regulation lies in the hands of the federal government and not the regional state. The Berlin Renters Association says the growing gap between rich and poor is exacerbated on the housing market.
In the next few years, Berlin plans to create 100,000 units of rent-controlled affordable housing. Like in Germany, government intervention and support is critical in creating affordable housing, especially in places like San Diego. Through proactive and intelligent planning, San Diego County can develop local ordinances and rulings that would efficiently solve the short-term and long-term housing crisis. By implementing solutions like tiny homes, rapid rehousing, as well as supportive housing units, we would be able to tackle the homelessness crisis head-on. Using abandoned areas around the cities and providing incentives to build affordable housing, we would be able to chip away at the problem. Also realizing that this problem has other layers to it, like mental health issues and substance abuse, and providing people with the help that they need in order to solve these problems would be able to help them be brought back into our society successfully. But it's going to take more than just college students to do something to change it. It's going to take all of us, politicians and workers alike, to change society for the better. The Statue of Liberty states on her tablet, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. The wretched refuse of your teeming shores. Send these, the homeless, the temp-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door." It's time we honor her words and help those in need, because we are the people, and we are all Americans, homeless or not.